Good morning, salam keluarga Malaysia, salam Sabah Maju Jaya, salam sepakat Sabah hebat, sepakat Bayu Sumoribau Spm hebat, SPB transforms, M for the best. Honorable Datuk Haji Raisin bin Saidin, Director of the Sabah State Education Department, Madam Haja Nuraini Fauzia binti Darin, Deputy Director, Learning Sector, Sabah State Education Department, Mr. Sulaiman bin Ahmad, Chief Assistant Director, TVET Unit, Learning Sector, Sabah State Education Department, Madam Nurul Izzati Adlina Abdullah, Kudat District Education Officer. Our speaker for today's webinar, Mr. Ahmad TAUFIK bin Muhammad Tahir from SMKA Tun Datuk Mustafa Limawan Papar. Last but not least, educators, parents and students who are watching us online this morning. I'm Cikgu Is, the SIC Plus officer from PPD Papar as your moderator today. On behalf of the committee, I extend a warm welcome to each and every one of you who is joining us online in Program BAYU Sumoribau SPM 2023. It's a program initiated by Kudat District Education Office with the collaborations of Sabah State Education Department and its strategic partners. The strategic partners are Kudat Principals, PPD Beluran, PPD Kuala Penyu, PPD Tuaran, PPD Papar, PPD Telupid Tongot, PPD Ranau, GEG Kota Kinabalu, Academic YouTuber Guru Malaysia, AYU, and Melta. You are encouraged to actively engage, exchange ideas, and ask questions through the chat box. Kindly be reminded that we truly appreciate if you could take part with appropriate profile. The webinar would last for 2 hours. Attendance link would be shared at the end of the webinar. The attendance link is for the purpose of e-certificate in SPL KPM and also serve as the feedback from our audience. Before we start our sharing today, we will have the Doa recital as to bless our event. For that, I would like to invite Ustaz Muhammad Hadi bin Saimin, Assistant Officer, Islamic Education Unit, Learning Sector, Kudat District Education Office to lead the Doa recital.
إلى حضرة النبي المصطفى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم الفاتحة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalam ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Ya Allah, ya Tuhan kami, pada hari yang penuh bermakna ini, kami berhimpun dengan penuh rasa kesyukuran di atas nikmat-Mu yang tidak terhingga. Ya Allah, Tuhan yang Maha Penyayang, kami memohon kepadamu, ya Allah, bersempena dengan program ini, Engkau permudahkan setiap urusan kami agar matlamat program ini tercapai dengan jayanya. Kurniakanlah kami keazaman yang kental untuk bekerja dengan penuh dedikasi dan keikhlasan. Kepadamu, ya Allah, kami memohon bimbingan dan restu-Mu. Kekalkanlah di dalam hati kami sifat mencintai kebaikan serta menjauhi keburukan. Ya Allah, ya Tuhan kami memohon dengan kekuasaan dan kehendak-Mu, Engkau anugerahkanlah kepada kami kesihatan dan kekuatan agar kami mampu mengorak langkah, berpadu tenaga menjayakan program ini. Engkau semaikan di dalam hati kami semangat persahabatan dan pemuafakatan agar dengannya pekerjaan kami menjadi mudah. Engkau suburkanlah semangat kerja berpasukan dalam kalangan kami agar amanah ini menjadi ringan serta terlaksana dengan cemerlang. Hindarkanlah kami daripada sifat-sifat keji dan daripada elemen-elemen negatif dan tidak produktif. Ya Allah, Tuhan yang Maha Pemberi kesejahteraan, jadikanlah perhimpunan kami ini perhimpunan yang dirahmati, dan perpisahan kami selepas ini perpisahan yang terpelihara dari segala bencana. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina adzaban nar. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wasallam. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
Thank you, Ustad, for the doa recital. Ladies and gentlemen, we are privileged to have Cikgu Ahmad Taufik bin Muhammad Tahir with us this morning. Let me briefly introduce our speaker for today. He's an experienced English teacher with a strong track record in educational leadership and assessment. Distinguished roles include team leader, master channel for language learning, district level English language task force membership, and head of English language panel. He is also a 2021-2022 Chevening Scholars with a Master of Education in TESOL from the University of Glasgow, who strive to leverage the prestigious scholarship for global networking and is committed to enhance English language teaching through collaborative projects locally and globally to drive professional developments among educators. Let us welcome Cikgu Taufik. Morning, Cikgu Taufik. Yes, Cikgu Taufik. I think you have to on your mic.
My mic is on now.
Okay, yes. I can hear clear and loud.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, clear and loud. Okay, how are you today?
Feeling great. Cannot wait for another session to share a lot of tips, especially for writing papers for our audience today, and also especially to our two guest students today, Priscilla and Ain.
Yeah. Yes, today we have two SMK Kinarut students who would go live with us and learn from Cikgu Taufik. Let us welcome our Ain and Priscilla. Hi, okay, now hi Ain, hi Priscilla.
Hello.
Okay.
Hi.
By the way, if there's any audience who like to join us, on live, maybe you can type it in the comments. We could invite you to join us later. Anyway, Cikgu Taufik, are you ready to start?
Yes, a pitch to start. Let's begin.
Okay, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to our audience in the YouTube channel, and also to Priscilla and also Nurul Ain Hawani. Yeah, I hope both of you are doing well. So welcome to my second session. Yesterday we gathered together virtually for my listening session, and today it is truly a privilege to be having another session with all of you for the writing paper for SPM paper 192. Okay, so my session will be just like yesterday. It will be quite interactive, whereby I will provide a few exercises and also activities that both Priscilla and I can participate, as well as the audience in the YouTube. Okay, if you want to participate, just drop your comments in the YouTube box YouTube channel. Okay, all right. So without further ado, let me begin with our session today. So if you notice on my slides, I purposely brand this sharing as back to basics. Okay. Must be wondering, right, why I decided to name our sharing session today with the theme of back to basics. Okay, but before that, this is the content or an overview of my webinar today, in which I will be covering four areas. Okay, the first one, hopefully we will be able to recap the assessment scale of writing, just on an overview of the assessment scale of writing. And the second one, we will also review sample answers for each part, part 1, part 2, and part 3. And then also the third one, we will also revisit the basic steps of writing an introduction and a paragraph using a technique, technique that is well-known. And then also the fourth one, we will also revise elements of two genres, which are article and story in part 3. Okay, because I decided to proceed with article and story due to time constraint, because we only have 2 hours and we have a lot to cover. Okay, all right, so I hope you stay with me until the end of the session. Okay, back to basics. Okay, according to Oxford Dictionary, the definition of back to basics is basically, if you get back to basics, you start to give your attention to the simplest and most important matters after ignoring them for a while. Okay, this idea comes into my mind because I am surely confident that all of you who join my session today, you have basic skills of how to write an essay. But you know, as since Form 4, as you go on until now, you are in Form 5, okay, most have probably forgotten some of the basic things, okay, because yeah, as we grow old, you know, like our language proficiency can also improve. So this is just a reminder of what are some of the basic things that, you know, like some of you may have forgotten. Okay, and according to Cambridge Dictionary, this is an idiom, back to basics is an idiom, which means to think about the simple or most important ideas within a subject or an activity instead of new ideas or complicated details. So that's why I decided to take the theme of back to basics with my sharing today, because I'm sure all of you are already familiar with what I'm going to share afterwards. So I hope with the tips and exercises that I've prepared for you, hopefully you will be. We together will go back to basics and refine our writing skills. Okay. Okay, like I asked yesterday, if you have joined my session, yesterday I asked, what is this introduction to the CFR? So basically we have 6 levels. This is actually the proficiency level based on the CEFR framework. So we have 6 levels from A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, and C2. So yesterday we talked about this, but basically A1, A2, those are for beginners. Most probably questions. Interestingly, the question for writing in SPM have been designed according to this level. Okay, so for instance, part 1 of the task basically is designed based on A2 level. And then for B1, it's referring to the secondary level, most probably the lower forms, Form 1, Form 2, and Form 3. And then the B2 and C1 is reportedly designed for the upper form, okay, Form 4, Form 5. And then the C1 and C2, they are usually catered for tertiary institution. Okay, so this is the possible mark range. Okay, bear in mind, this is not official, so you don't have to take this seriously. This is just based on the assumption of which mark usually falls into which level. Okay, as we know, there are 6 levels, five levels for CFR for writing. So if you manage to score 1 until 12 range, so you will fall under the category of A1. A2, 13 to 24 out of 60 marks. For B1, 25 to 36. So if your marks usually fall within this range, so you would be able to get a B1 level in your SPM. And then 37 to 48, you will get the B2 level. And then if you consistently score between 49 to 60 for your writing paper, so God willing, you should be able to get C1. And I've also enclosed here pernyataan keputusan bahasa Inggris for one of my students last year, whereby she got a C1, almost a solid C1. The only lacking part is speaking, but B2. But just a reminder, at the end of your secondary education, you should be able to score at least B2. Okay, so if your mark falls under the category of B2, you are on the right track. So basically, you have achieved the provisional target set by Ministry of Education for English language education in Malaysia. Okay, but I know some of you, you are also able to score C1. So hopefully, with some of the tips that I'm going to share with you in this webinar, if you are already stuck in B2 level, hopefully you can break through and get into the C1 level. Okay, so let me begin with exposing you with the writing format. I think we all are quite familiar with this format already since when you are Form 4. So basically, for writing paper, there will be 3 tasks. The first task is called short communicative message, which carries 20 marks, and it's basically just an email. So email is an informal email. So far, if we look at the pattern of the past SPM questions, the email being asked is the emails being asked were mostly informal, okay, which is an email to a friend or to a classmate. The second part is the guided writing, 20 marks, okay, whereby you have to write an essay based on a given points, as well as on for part 3, extended writing task, which carries 20 marks. But for this part, you get to choose between 4 genres of writing. But remember, there are only 3 options. Okay, so the 3 options can be derived from these 4 genres, which is the first one. It could be an article, it could be a story, it could be a review, or it could be a report. But for the purpose of my webinar today, I will only be covering article as well as story. Okay, now let's look at the overall assessment scale. Okay, so basically, for all those 3 parts, you will be judged against 4 assessment scales, which are content, communicative achievement, organization, as well as language. So I've summarized the overall idea what each scale represents. So basically, when we look for content, if you are to score all 5 marks for each scale, basically for content, you've done all the tasks and included all the information. So basically, if the question is asking you 3 contents, and then you successfully identify all those content and included all the information relevantly, we will give you 5 marks. Okay? And competitive achievement. Actually, what is competitive achievement? It means that the writing is appropriate for the task and you use the right style. Okay, so basically, like for instance, if it is a review and then you are reviewing a product or perhaps a restaurant, if it's a report, the format of your writing is written in the form of a report. Okay, and then organization. So what does organization entail? Basically, organization means writing is put together well, logical and ordered, and then your ideas are connected. So if you notice, there are many elements inside this one skill, right? And then also, last but not least, language. Language means you are able to use a good range of vocabulary and grammar, as well as when you use the vocabulary and those grammar, they are used accurately. Okay. Okay, moving on. Okay, so this is what happens when you do not score the full mark for each assessment scale. So for content, if you don't score 5 marks, that means you have missing information, or perhaps when you include the information, they are irrelevant, or perhaps you didn't even understand the task. So there is no, we don't say that we penalized you, because for CFR we celebrate the can-do statement. So if you are not able to identify the contents, that basically means you will not be awarded mark. Okay. All right. For communicative achievement, if you fail to score a full mark of 5, that means perhaps your writing is not suitable for the task. Perhaps you have written too formal or too informal. So the keyword here for communicative achievement is knowing your audience. In terms of organization, okay, if your essay is difficult to follow, and then there is evidence of poor paragraphing, for instance, instead of writing 5 paragraphs, you only have 1 or 2 or 3. Okay, that means your organization has a problem there. And then perhaps you don't really use a lot of linking words, and your ideas are not coherent and not organized. Okay, so if you have characteristic of all these, you will not be able to score a full mark of 5. And last but not least, for language, okay, presence of mistakes that make your essay difficult or confusing to read will ultimately cost you marks. Okay, so basically we don't expect perfection, yeah, remember, okay, because your level here is the highest level is for B2, but if students are able to write consistently using good grammar and good vocabularies, okay, there is no issue. We will not penalize you in any sort of way. Okay. All right. So let's move on to the first part of the writing paper, which is a short communicative message and email. So if you notice there, for email, the CF level that is being tested is the A2 level. Like I mentioned just now, the A2 level basically is for primary school. Okay, so perhaps like the level, you do not really have to write a bombastic words because use bombastic language because the level is only for A2. Okay, so let's look at this type of question. Okay, email. So you received an email from your new friend, Amy, who has just moved to your hometown. Hi, the school holiday is finally here. Let's go for a picnic with our friends. Where shall we go and what can we do here? What should we bring? I'll be waiting for your reply. Bye. Now, write an email to your friend in about 80 words. Okay, perhaps Priscilla or Ain, can you help me identify any content points that you see from this question?
Her friend Amy wanted her friend Amy want us to go for a picnic, and she
Okay.
asked where should we go and the things that we can do there, and what should we bring.
Okay, so if you were to reply this email, how many content points should you include? What are the questions that you have to answer? Ain?
I think it's where shall we go and what can we do there and what should we bring.
Okay,
It's
wonderful.
3
Okay,
questions.
okay, good. So basically, by successfully identifying all the 3 questions, so by right, you are on the right track for the content mark. Okay, so yes, the first thing that you have to answer is where shall we go? Okay, so the expected answer must be a form of location. It could be a beach, it could be a shopping mall, or it could be a friend's house. So you decide, but as long as you answer where shall we go, and then what can we do there. So basically, it's referring to the activities. What will you do when you go to the place that you have chosen? And then lastly, what should we bring? What are some of the things that you should bring? Okay. All right. So this is the sample answer. Okay. Priscilla, can you help me read
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Amy. A picnic during the school holidays sounds like a fantastic idea. Sure, let's meet at Tanjung Aru Beach. We can enjoy some games like volleyball, beach, or simply relax by the beach. So, we should bring some snacks, a blanket, and if you have, a portable speaker for music. I'm so excited to spend time together. See you there. Regards, Emily.
Oh, wonderful. That's a very good intonation you have there, Priscilla. Thank you so much. All right. So I've given you a sample answer. Okay. In this is just to clarify, this is not a perfect answer, but for the purpose of this webinar, okay, I'm using this answer for reference. Okay. So how do we restructure this answer? Okay. The tips is very simple. You will have greeting. Okay. You will have to respond to the task. And then you will have to outline all your content points that you have identified just now, which is content 1, content 2, content 3, and also the closing. So let's look at based on the sample that Priscilla has read just now. Let's divide which sentence fit this structure. So basically, the greeting is very straightforward. Hi, Annie, or a simple hi would suffice. Okay. And then respond. A picnic during the school holidays sounds like a fantastic idea. So some of my students have also asked, like, sir, is it necessary for us to write, how are you? I hope you're doing fine. I hope you are in the pink of health. How is your family doing? For me, that though, if you want to include that, those are also fine. But since you are replying to Amy's email, so usually the one who starts the email will ask all those sorts of questions. So since you are the recipient of the email, so it is also safe to assume that you don't have to start with those questions. But if you are trained to do so by your teachers, just proceed with that one. Okay. All right. This is just as an alternative. Okay, so Emily is responding to Amy's idea about a picnic during the school holidays, and which she feels that it is a fantastic idea. Okay, now by writing sure, let's meet at Tanjung Aru Beach. So Emily successfully scored the first content point, which is where shall we meet or where shall we go? And then for content 2, we can enjoy some games like volleyball beach or simply relax by the beach. So in a way, this is directly answering the second content, which is what can we do there, the activities, right? And then for content 3, so we should bring some snacks, a blanket, and if you have a portable speaker for music. So this is basically answering content number 3, which is what should we bring? Okay, and then for the closing, this is a very straightforward closing sentence. I'm so excited to spend time together. See you there. Regards, Emily. Okay, so if we look at all this structure and then we write it in the form of a paragraph, okay, you will have a full complete paragraph like this. Okay, just like we have Priscilla has just read just now. Yeah. Okay, so for content, especially for part 1, okay, since this is only catering for A2 level, it is very easy to score a full mark of 5. You see here, all content is relevant to the target reader. So target reader here refers to the recipient. So in the question, there is a prompt saying that your new friend, Amy, or is it Emily? Okay, the question will be preceded by those prompts because it is going to introduce you to the audience. So the audience automatically becomes the target reader. So as long as the target reader is fully informed, in a way that if you, for instance, like if you email me asking all those questions, and then when I read your email and then I'm fully aware of all those questions, okay, we can easily score you 5. Okay. So if you got 3 or somewhere in between, if you got other than 5, if you got, other than 5, so basically your content has a little bit problem. Maybe there is a minor irrelevances, or maybe you forgot to include 1 out of 3 content points. Okay, all right. So that is the reason why you didn't score a full mark of 1. Okay, all right. Moving on. This is the tips for content. So after you finish writing your email, okay, try to ask yourself, have you covered all the key information required by the task? Okay, so like I've asked our students just now, both of them managed to identify 3 content points. So the ability to identify the 3 content points, and then if they successfully write it in the email, they will automatically get 5, provided that the content points are all relevant. And then, have you written only information which is relevant to the task? Okay, so these are the 2 questions that you should ask once you are done, or even before you start writing your content for part 1, which is email. Okay, for this part as well, part 1, I would like to touch the assessment scale related to organization. So you have to remember, only content is the same for part 1, part 2, part 3. The assessment scale for content is the same for part 1, part 2, and part 3. But for the other 3 assessment scales, which are cumulative achievement, organization, as well as language, they are different for part 1, part 2, and for part 3. So I will cover a few as we go, as we move forward to different parts. But for part 1, I would also like to highlight the organization. So can you identify any simple connectors here? Or maybe any our audience, can you share with us what do you think are some of the simple connectors that are being used in this sample email?
So,
okay, good. So that is one. Another one. For Priscilla, if you are able to identify the rest.
and,
Okay, and good.
or.
Okay, good. How about Ain?
I only find Pristella said earlier.
Okay, okay, good. Okay, never mind. Okay. Let's see what are some of the linkers used. Okay. All the setting goes off a little bit. I'm so sorry about this one. Okay. The first one is like. Okay. Like, or, okay, and then we have so, and then we have and also if, as well as for. I'm so sorry about that one, because the setting is a bit off. So the tick is supposed to be on top of the simple connectors. Okay, so we have 6 there. The first one is like. We also have or. We also have and, if, as well as for. Okay. All right. So basically, in terms of organization, for part 1, just like I mentioned just now, okay, you will be able to score 5 if you use simple connectors and a limited number of cohesive dividers. So if we look at the sample, it seems like the cohesive dividers are lacking. Okay, we only have simple connectors. Okay, so most probably, if this is the sample essay being graded, most probably it wouldn't be able to score 5 due to not fulfilling the criteria in band 5. Okay, so it's missing a limited number of cohesive dividers. A limited number, how many? Is it 1 enough? 2 enough? So to be safe, just put 3, 4, up to 5 cohesive dividers that you know. Okay, because if you are able to put a limited number of cohesive divisors, Okay, most probably examiners will be happy to award you a full mark of 5. Okay, all right. And also I noticed that there are a teacher, Cikgu Ahmad, Chia Tiong Chak. Isn't it better if we have paragraphing, although it is a short email? This is a very good question because students also keep asking me about the same question. Okay, paragraphing, I wouldn't say paragraphing isn't necessary, okay, but if it helps you to organize your idea and then makes it coherent, please use paragraphing. Okay, if it's helpful for you to organize your ideas and it helps you to, you know, like arrange your ideas and then it flows and then it's easier for the assess the markers to read, go for it. Use paragraphing. Okay, so don't underestimate the power of paragraphing. Okay, all right, so moving on. Okay, so you see there, you will only be able to score a total mark of 3 if you only use basic high frequency connectors. So I'm sure your teachers, okay, and then you yourself have access to the internet, and you can, and also a lot of resources books out there. You can also polish your connectors and cohesive devices to be included in your list. Okay. All right, so that is the end of part 1. I didn't really want to cover a lot for part 1 because it is the easiest to score. In my opinion, it is the easiest part to score. So if you consistently score 20 out of 20, okay, you are on the right track. Okay, remember, okay, for each part 1, 20 marks, part 2, 20 marks, and part 3, 20 marks. So basically, based on those 20 marks, when we shrink it to 25 percentage, those 20 marks represent 8.33 marks. So if you're able to score 20 out of 20 for your email, so you automatically will have 8.33 marks for your paper, writing paper. Okay. Now let's move on to the guided writing, which is an essay. Notice that the CFR level being tested here is actually B1 level. Okay, so this is the question, the sample question for the purpose of our webinar. Your class has been discussing how they spend their money, and your teacher has asked you to write an essay about what you would spend your money on. In your essay, you should write about what you would like to buy, reasons for your choice. Write your essay using all the notes and giving reasons for your point of view. Okay, so this is quite interesting because there are only 2 content points, but based on the past previous exams, usually for part 2 there will be 3 content points, but here, okay, I'm sure you all are aware what are the 2 content points that you have to answer. Okay. Maybe Priscilla, can you tell us what are the 2 content points?
What you would like to buy and the reasons for your choice.
Okay, good. Okay, so Priscilla, before you start writing your essay, who is the audience that you have? Who is the audience that you have in mind before you start writing this? To whom you should write this essay? Who is your audience?
Students.
Okay, students, is it? Why do you say so?
Oh no, teachers. I think teacher.
Okay, teacher.
Okay,
Yeah.
teacher.
How about Ayin? Do you agree with Priscilla? Before you start writing your essay, who do you have in mind?
I also think it's teacher.
Yes, definitely. Okay. So before you start writing, this is also another tip that I want you to highlight. Before you start answering your essay, please always remember your target reader, who your target reader is. Because by knowing your target reader before you start writing, it will be useful for you to use the right intonation. Okay. So what matters for part 2 is that we will focus more on your tone, okay, especially for communicative achievement. That is the reason why at the beginning of every question, you will be given a background or some sort of a prompt in which may, for instance, your class has been discussing how they spend their money and your teacher has asked you to write an essay. So the audience is your teacher. So if you submit an essay that is very informal to your teacher, that will be considered as inappropriate, okay, or inaccurate, because the tone should be for semi-formal, or it can be very formal. So you shouldn't use any informal language there. Okay, so like both our students mentioned just now, the two content points that you have to tackle for this essay is are what you would like to buy and also the reasons for your choice. Okay, these are the two content points. Okay, so we are going back to basic today. So I'm going to teach you a few steps of writing introduction. Because the theme of our webinar today is basically back to basics, right? Okay, so this is the first step of how to teach your friends or when you're doing your revision, okay, how to start your introduction. Okay, all right. Do you notice both Ain and Priscilla, where did I lift all these words from?
The
Class has been
question.
discussed. Yes, good. So if possible, are you okay to answer this? Can you guess what is the correct answer for each gap? Based from the question. Okay, let's revisit the question first. Huh? Okay. Your class has been discussing how they spend their money on their money, and your teacher has asked you to write an essay about what you would spend your money on. Okay, and then we change it to the introduction like this. So what do you think is the possible answer for all the gaps?
Your class has been discussing how
Is it
your
your
class
class?
has been.
Because
Oh no.
if you write your class,
Wait.
mhm.
Oh,
Okay, how about
okay.
Ain? Okay, okay, Priscilla.
So that's okay. The teachers mean that this is like the introduction for the essay, not like the
Yes, this is
question,
the
right?
introduction.
Oh, okay.
No. Yeah, you just have to change the pronouns.
Okay. My class has been
Okay.
discussing how student atau how they spend their money, and the teacher has asked, and my teacher has asked me to write an essay about what I would spend my money on. In this essay, I will write about that.
Okay. Yeah, content 1 and content 2. Okay, so this is a very straightforward introduction. Okay, thank you, Priscilla. Okay, so or you can also use like this. Our class has been discussing how we spend our money, and our teacher has asked us to write an essay about what we would spend our money on. Okay, so you just have to change the pronouns, because if you use my teacher, like my class has been discussing, and then once the teacher is reading, so the tone is quite inappropriate, right? Okay, so we don't want to give reasons for the examiners to, like not award us for what we have written. Okay, so continue on. Let's move on. In this essay, I will write about what I would like to buy and the reasons for my choice. So basically, this is what we call as lifting from the input, but I usually use this with my weaker students. Okay, so if you have if your English level is quite proficient, okay, this is not advisable because you should use your own introduction. Okay, But this is what I usually do for my weaker students. Yeah. Okay, but there are other alternatives in order to write an introduction. Okay, in fact, we have 7 of them. How do we start an introduction? Perhaps by asking a question. Perhaps you can also start your essay by giving an opinion, perhaps listing, or by giving quotation from a famous person or famous people, maybe from your own personal experience, or using a direct speech in a form of a dialogue, just a short one. Or maybe you can also begin your essay using general statement. But for our webinars today, we are not going to cover all these 7 ways to start your opening paragraph. Okay, we have question, opinion, listing, quotation, personal experience, direct speech, and general statement. Okay, here I'm going to give you an example of a very short introduction. Okay, I purposely did not include all the complete introduction because I just want to highlight which technique is which. Okay, so for this one, any of our audience, or maybe Ain or Priscilla, can you guess the first one? Have you ever contemplated how you would allocate your hard-earned money? In this essay, I will talk about personal finance and explain about the purchases I want to make and the reasons behind my decisions. Which one do you think this sample represents? Is it the question technique? Is it the opinion technique? Listing, quotation, personal experience, direct speech, or general statement? What do you think? Ain?
I think it's question.
Okay, how about Priscilla? Do you agree?
I think it's question 2.
Question 2. Okay. Yeah, we can simply tell this is a question technique because the first sentence begins with a question mark. Okay. Yes, definitely. This is the question technique. So just in case you do not really have any idea how to start your essay, you can use this simple technique. Okay. Okay. The second one, a new laptop, a game console, or a high-end camera. These devices come into mind when thinking about spending money. In this essay, I will explore the various choices I make when deciding what to buy, as well as the reasons behind my decision. Okay, so which technique do you think is used?
I
Personal
think it's
experience.
listing. Oh, okay.
Okay, it could be personal experience. Ain, you have a different answer?
No, I also think it's personal experience.
Okay. It could be a personal experience, but personal experience basically meant sharing an item that you probably have just bought. But yeah, it could be personal experience, but I also think that this is a listing technique whereby you list all the ideas, all the things that you want to answer. For instance, in this case, what do you want to buy, right? So you list down the laptop, game console, or high-end camera. Okay, it also can be used for listing technique. And how about this one? As I discuss the topic of spending money and personal finance, I am reminded of Henry David Thoreau, who once said, "The price of anything is the amount of life you exchange for it." In this essay, I will write my purchase and the reasons behind it. How about this one?
I
We have
think
Henry David
it's
Thoreau.
quotation.
Yeah, that is a goal. Yeah, good. Okay, quotation. All right. So basically, this is a technique using quotation. Okay. All right. So there are others that you can try, maybe by giving an opinion. Okay. You can also use a general statement. You can also use a dialogue. A direct speech, in a way, means a dialogue. Maybe you can begin your dialogue with, you can begin your introduction with a dialogue. Maybe like, maybe you can just create a conversation, a simple conversation with yourself, or maybe create a monologue, and then you follow the structure. In this essay, I will write my purchase and the reasons behind it, something like that. Okay, we're not going to cover all the 7 techniques. Okay, all right. So now we have just learned how to begin our essay for part 2 by using 2 types of introduction. Okay, if you find the first one easier, which is not really recommended for proficient students, okay, you would, or if you would like to try the 7 types of beginning your introduction, you are allowed to practice more. Okay, all right, now we move on to still for part 2, but we are going to develop a paragraph. Okay, so the paragraph is either what you would like to buy, or maybe we can choose the reasons for your choice. But for the purpose of this webinar, we are going to together develop a paragraph of what you would like to buy. Okay, over here, I am going to introduce you an effective technique of developing a paragraph. Okay, remember, this is you can use this, or you can try this on your own in order to develop one paragraph. Okay, so I put the question on the right side. Okay, we are going to cover the first one, the first bullet, what you would like to buy. But before that, what is this technique? Okay, so the first P means pick a topic. Okay, so basically, since we are developing a paragraph, okay, the topic is what you would like to buy. Okay, maybe you can try this on your own when you want to do the second content point, which is reasons for your choice. But today we are going to cover what you would like to buy. Okay, so we decided that we will, the topic that we choose, the paragraph that we choose is what you would like to buy. Second one, list all information. So basically, list all information is just we list down all of our ideas, what you would like to buy. So this is also what we call as brainstorming session. So perhaps maybe like what you would like to buy. If, for instance, like Christella, what do you want to buy? Can you name 3 things that you want to buy?
3 things.
Just random things.
Okay, probably New Balance, new shoes,
Okay.
skincare, and
Okay.
snacks.
Okay, good. Okay. How about Ayin? What would you like to buy?
I would like to buy a laptop,
Okay.
snacks, and clothes.
Okay. The whole? Okay. Okay, good. So basically, you have listed all the information about the topic that we are going to cover after this. Okay. Now, out of those 3 things that you have listed just now, which one do you want to cover? So this is the section where you evaluate which point that you want to. After the brainstorming session, you choose and evaluate which point that you want to cover first. Or if you have to decide, make a decision, okay, maybe you can just choose one. Okay, and then A, start activating your paragraph using a topic sentence. Okay, so after you decided which thing that you want to buy, okay, you can start activating your paragraph by using a topic sentence. After this, we are going to see a sample. Okay, after you activate the paragraph, okay, by using the topic sentence, you also should supply supporting sentences. So basically, if you have written one sentence at the beginning, you are encouraged to supply more supporting sentence in a form of elaboration. This is actually what we call as elaboration in paragraph writing. And then before you move on to the next paragraph, make sure you end your sentence make sure you end that particular paragraph with concluding sentence. Okay, so technically, if we were to follow this technique, one paragraph should have at least 3 sentences. The first one is the paragraph activating the topic. The second one is the supporting sentence, and also the third one will be the concluding sentence. So that will be the very basic 3 sentences, at least 3 sentences in a paragraph. Okay, now let's see a demonstration of how we develop a paragraph. Okay, pick a topic. So basically, what you would like to buy. Okay, so we have listed all information. Like Priscilla mentioned 3 just now, Ain as well. But okay, for this one, maybe you would like to buy a brand new MacBook laptop. Okay, with an Apple brand. Okay, perhaps you also want to buy a guitar, or maybe you would like to buy a piano, or maybe you would like to buy a new set of drums. Okay, or maybe you are interested to buy a new gaming console. Okay, a handheld gaming console. Okay, so after you list down all the information, it's time to evaluate point. Which point do you want to cover in this particular paragraph? Okay, so I decided to go with musical instruments. Okay, so after I evaluate my point, musical instruments, it's time for me to activate my paragraph. So how do I activate my paragraph? Remember, this is not introduction, this is the second paragraph. So the introduction we have covered just now. So make sure that the transition between the introduction to the second paragraph is smooth. Okay, everyone has their ways to spend their money, but for me, I want to spend my money on a musical instrument such as guitar and a set of drums. Okay, so by this particular line, okay, you already answer content point number 1. Okay, and it is also relevant. Okay. Okay, if you notice, everyone has their ways to spend their money. This is also an example of a general statement. Okay, and this is like the basic examples of a general statement. You can also use this as your introduction sentence. Okay, now we already activated the paragraph using the topic sentence. Okay, it is important for you to begin to activate your paragraph with the topic sentence, yeah, because the topic sentence means that you are answering the content point right away. So after addressing the content points, okay, you should be able to elaborate more. Okay, now the next stage is apply supporting sentences. Okay, with the musical instruments, okay, I can become creative. Other than that, I also can express myself through music. So basically, it is implying that, okay, if you got the items that you really want to buy, what will happen? What will happen to you? So in this sentence, the supporting sentence imply that I can become creative. That is the first effect. The second effect is that I also can express myself through music. Okay, now that we have supplied supporting sentences, let's end our paragraph with a concluding sentence. Thus, okay, this is a cohesive device, connectors. Choosing to invest in a guitar and drums is my way of unlocking my creativity and letting my emotions flow through the language of music. And that is the end of our second paragraph. Okay, let's look at the final version. Okay, Ain, can you read it for me?
Yes.
Thank you.
Everyone has their ways to spend their money, but for me, I want to spend my money on a musical instrument, such as guitar and a set of drums. With the musical instrument, I can become creative. Other than that, I can also express myself through music. Thus, choosing to invest in a guitar and drums in my ways of unlocking creativity and letting my emotion flow through the language of music.
Okay, thank you. Okay, good intonation. Okay, good enunciation as well, yeah. All right, so basically we have 3 separate sentences. Okay, the first one is the topic sentence, right? So everyone has their ways until a set of drums. So this is the content point. Okay, the remaining sentences are just elaboration. With the musical instruments, I can become creative. Other than that, that is also the supporting sentences. And then before you move on to the next point, okay, don't forget to end your paragraph with a concluding statement. Okay, now, for instance here, thus choosing to invest in a guitar and drums is my way of unlocking creativity and letting my emotions flow through the language of music. Okay, now let's see an alternative. Okay, this is, in your opinion, Priscilla and also Ain, do you think the tone is suitable for a teacher? Is it very friendly, or is it very formal, or is it very, like macam macam apa? Like you're talking to your friends. So far okay lah kan? Nothing, nothing much there. But let's see an alternate. Consider this. Okay, Priscilla, can you read for me?
Yes.
Mhm.
Everyone knows how to spend their money, but me, I want to drop my cash on some cool guitar and drums. These things make me feel like super duper creative. I'm also really good at expressing myself with music. So, picking these guitars and drums is like my thing for unlocking creativity. It's also letting my emotions roll in the music language.
Which one do you prefer? This one or the previous one?
I would say the previous one.
Okay, why?
I think it's because of the informal language, like super duper creative.
Yeah, you hit the right jackpot. Okay, so Ain, which one do you think?
I think it's the previous one.
Yes. The reason?
I don't know.
Okay, just like Priscilla mentioned just now. Okay, the first one is the tone is for, I wouldn't say formal. It's appropriate for a teacher. But the second one, the tone is quite informal, as if, this is writing, right? So when you are writing, you should use appropriate tone. So since considering the when you are writing just now at the beginning of this part, the target reader is the teacher, so you must be careful with your tone. So over here, the tone is more like conversation tone, right? It's like as if your teacher is your best friend and you write all these things. So it is quite not appropriate. It is quite inappropriate. Okay. For instance, the word wanna. Okay, this should not be used because it's quite informal. Okay, the use of contraction here. I'm. Okay. Uh, another contraction is. Another contraction is. Okay. So don't use contraction. Contraction means you shorten the actual sentence into the shorter version. For instance, like wanna, is, can't, don't, won't. Okay, those can only be used in email or perhaps in a dialogue in your narrative. Okay, other than that, especially for part two, don't use contraction. Okay, it makes things very quite informal. And let's look another alternative. How about this? Okay, maybe, okay, let me read about this one. Okay, while each individual has their own preferences regarding how to spend their money, I intend to purchase a guitar and a set of drums. By playing musical instruments, I am able to express my creativity. In addition to that, I am capable of expressing myself via music. Consequently, by investing in a guitar and drums, I enable my emotions to flow freely and express my creativity through the medium of music. Let's compare the first one. Which one do you think is much better? The first one or the third one? Priscilla, which one do you prefer?
I think I still prefer the first one.
The first one, huh?
Yeah,
Okay,
I still prefer the first one.
why Priscilla? Can you tell us why?
I think this third essay is more formal.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, good. All right, how about Ain?
I also think it's the first one.
The first one. Maybe share with us why do you choose the first one?
The first one is quite short for me to write, so it doesn't need to take much of my time.
Okay, thank you, Ain. Okay, so let's compare the first one and the third one. Huh? Okay, so this one is very straightforward. I think if you go for this, it's also appropriate. And nothing is wrong with the tone because it's quite semi-formal. But since we are looking at B1 level, you also have to pay attention because right now, other than tone, okay, communicative achievement, we also have to consider your vocabulary, which will be covered later in part 3. But if you are able to produce this kind of essay for the third sample, most probably you will be able to score better marks when you use the first one. Okay, because this one, if you look at the choices of vocabulary, okay, it's quite like less common like this. Okay, it's not like a regular word that is being used. Okay, and then the way the sentences are paraphrased and written, it's quite formal. So doesn't mean that you will be penalized or whatnot. But what I'm trying to say is that in the third sample is the better version because of the informality, because of the formality. Okay, this is very straightforward and it's easy to digest and it's very it's quite formal for a teacher to read. Okay, all right. So as long as you don't follow this one, the second one, and this is like talking to your best friend, but in fact your teacher is not your best friend, even though your teacher is your best friend. Okay, all right. Okay, now this is the reason why I'm talking, why I prefer the third one. Okay, because in order to get 5 marks for communicative achievement in part 2, your essay must be able to grab readers' interest. Okay, so this can be done positively and negatively. So in the positive sense, when your essay grabs the readers' interest, meaning that they are very interested with your story. Okay, because the lack of grammatical errors, perhaps it's very coherent and consistent. But if the essay grabs the readers' interest for the wrong reason, it's probably because there are a lot of grammatical errors. So instead of enjoying and appreciating your essay, they start to look for errors. Okay. All right. So basically, before we end part 2 session, okay, these are some of the tips that you can use to ask yourself in terms of communicative achievement. Okay. So before you start writing, okay, try to ask yourself, who is the audience for this essay? Because like I said, by knowing the audience, it will, in a way, help you to write proper intonation. Okay, and then what is the main purpose of the text? Is it sharing? Is it informing? Okay, is it giving advice? This is in terms of general tips. Okay, have you conveyed simple and complex ideas? Okay, and also have you used the right style and register? Or maybe you are using formal or casual style. These are the 4 tips that you should ask yourself when you are writing for part 2 and also part 3 actually, in terms of communicative achievement. Okay, now let's move on to part 3, extended writing path. Okay, like I mentioned, I will only cover 2 because due to the time constraint. Okay, I will begin with article. Okay, so now we are moving another step in to B2. So basically, part 3 is the part where examiners can be really, really strict because of the CFR level being tested is actually B2. Okay, so if email examiners most probably become very lenient, but in part 3, this is what separates the good candidates with the average candidates. I would say like that, okay? Because due to the CFR level, which is the B2 level. Okay, now I'm going to talk about organizations for part 3, okay? As well as for in this particular article, okay? I will talk about organization, and then for language, I will talk about it for story. Okay, so let me begin with the tips for organization for part 3. Okay, but this is also applicable for each part. Okay, have you used paragraphs appropriately to organize your idea? Okay, like Priscilla and also Ain, how many paragraphs? How many paragraphs do you usually write your essay? If there are 3 content points, how many paragraphs?
I usually write 4.
Okay, 4. Okay, how about Priscilla?
I usually write 3 or 4 too.
So be careful, if you, because you know, if there are 3 content points, okay, so automatically we expect you to have 3 paragraphs. Paragraphs 2 for content 1, paragraphs 3 for content 2, and paragraph 4 for content 3. And then the other 2 paragraphs should be the introduction as well as the conclusion. So if you only have 3 paragraphs for part 3, so most probably you will not be able to score high for organization because you do not fulfill the criteria of band 5. Okay, so from now on, always train your mind. Okay, please write at least 5 paragraphs. Okay, because because if you do not really have enough paragraphs, that means you have poor planning for paragraphing. Okay. And then have you used any linking words and cohesive divisors? Okay, so you have to differentiate, the difference between linking words and cohesive divisors. Okay, all right. Priscilla, do you know what is the difference between linking words and cohesive divisors? Let's just have a random guess. What is the difference between linking words and cohesive divisors?
Linking words, I think it's like and, or,
Okay,
if,
good.
such as. And
Okay.
then cohesive devices is more like other than that, after that, so on. I think
Well
lah.
done, well done. Okay, good. You are on the right track. Well done, Priscilla. Okay, Ayn, what is the function of linking words and cohesive divisors?
Linking words, I think it's used for you to apa?
Connect?
I don't know how to explain, but I know how to use it.
Okay. All right, thank you, Ayn. Okay, just for your information, so linking words, both linking words and cohesive divisors are used for the purpose of connection. Okay, but what to connect? They connect different parts. Okay, for instance, like simple connectors and linking words, they are used to connect sentences within a paragraph. Okay, that is within a paragraph. But cohesive divisors, we are looking at the bigger picture. So you step back and then you look at your essay. Cohesive divisors are used to link the ideas between all the paragraphs from paragraph 1 until paragraph 5. So that's why the third tips I specifically emphasize here, have you used those cohesive divisors effectively? Because for part 3, we want to, what separates the band 5 marks for organization is the student's ability to use cohesive divisors effectively. Okay, you just don't use, like the same cohesive divisors over and over again, but then it's not effective. It's basically like memorizing all these cohesive devices and then you just put there in your essay for the sake of being there. So that will not warrant you a band 5 mark for organization. And then the last one, are they varied? Okay, or perhaps like because examiners usually will mark from part 1 to part 2 and part 3. Okay, examiners do not mark by sections, right? So they will be able to identify if you have used other than that in email, and then you will use you use the same other than that in part 2, and then for part 3 you also use other than that. So basically that will show that your cohesive devices are not varied because there is a tendency to repeat the same word. Okay, now I'm going to share with you what are some of the active cohesive divisors. Okay, the first one is basically pronouns. Okay, simple, right? This is one of the what do we say? Part of speech. To refer back to something previously mentioned. For example, here David explored the forest. He climbed the tallest tree. This is the very basic of examples of cohesive divisors. Yeah? So basically here is referring to David. Okay. Now let's try this. Okay, perhaps Priscilla, can you identify what are the pronouns in this sentence? Or perhaps our audience can also participate by putting your answers in the chat box. Can you identify examples of pronouns being used?
I think it's players and their or they.
Okay, good. Only players? How about the final sentence?
And users and
Yeah.
their.
Fantastic. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, teacher Madam Jelario. Okay. There. Okay. So basically here we can see that the first dia and then the first dia is referring to the word players. Okay, this is a type of cohesive divisors used effectively. Again, also they is also referring to players. Okay, and then dia is also referring to players. But in the final sentence, dia is used to refer to users, not to players. So like by using all these cohesive divisors effectively, when we read the sentence, the readers will automatically understand which part of pronouns you are referring to. Okay, so this is the very basic ones lah. Okay, if you have developed this technique of using pronouns, you will be able to use this in a higher level. Okay. All right, the next one. Okay, Ayin, get ready. Okay, the second one is basically synonyms to replace the words of the same meaning so readers stay focused. For example, the library had countless books, but she only borrowed a novel. So we know that a novel is a synonym for books. Okay, right. Let's try this. Okay, can you identify a list of synonyms here, Ain? Which are some of the vocabularies that we can consider as synonyms without repeating the same vocabulary?
Missions,
Okay, good.
quests and tasks, assignments,
Okay, well done. How about the first sentence?
the first
Any
sentence,
synonyms there?
I don't know.
Okay, you have no idea. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Ain. Okay, let's see the answer. Okay, myriad. Myriad, the plethora of, and also diverse is actually they are synonyms. Basically means various. Okay, ataupun many, like that. All right, missions, quests, tasks, assignments, they are all together under one synonym. Okay, so good job, Ain. You are able to identify the second synonym. Okay, and last but not least, another effective cohesive divisor is simply by using connectors. I think we have done this previously, which is to link words, phrases, and sentences. So the obvious example would be fanboys, transitions. Okay, like for this one, exploring the big game world is exciting. Also, the interesting missions make the story more engaging. Plus, playing with others in multiplayer mode adds a social aspect to the gaming community. Okay, so these are the two examples of connectors being used in this particular example. Okay, all right, now let's move on. Okay, to the actual question. Article part 3. You see this notice on the board outside the school library. articles wanted. Okay, the topic given is my school canteen. Okay, so the 3 content points that you have to cover in this article are: what other types of food would you like to be served? Again, what special facilities should your canteen have? And also, how can you improve your canteen? Okay, write us an article answering these questions. The best article will be displayed on the school magazine. So here we see that articles will be displayed on the school magazine. So we know that the target reader or the audience will be your friends, teachers, principals, or anyone who is reading the school magazine. Okay, let's see a sample content of content 3. Yeah? So for content 3, how can you improve your canteen? So I purposely choose this particular paragraph. I'm not going to show the overall ones. Okay, and let's see. Can you find any evidence of synonyms there? Which words can be categorized as one? Okay, perhaps Priscilla, can you try? Can you find identify all the synonyms?
I don't know.
Okay. How about Ain? Would you like to try? What are some words that can be categorized under the same category?
I don't know either.
Okay. This is the longer version, right? Okay, let's see the answer. Okay, synonyms here: sandwiches, salads, and wraps. They are actually a synonym for food. And also facilities. Okay, these are used to replace like sitting, chairs, tables, microwave. All these words are actually facilities being provided in at the canteen of our school. A microwave, or this so cool. Okay. All right, so these are an example of synonyms that are being used in order to enhance the paragraph. Okay, how about the connectors? Are you able to identify the connectors? We start with Priscilla again. Yeah, don't panic. Okay, don't panic. Read slowly. Okay. Priscilla, can you read the sentence? The intonation is quite lovely.
Okay.
Hmm.
Would not it be wonderful if there were more meals options available, such as sandwiches, salads, and wraps? It is tedious to consume the same food on a daily basis. It will be beneficial to have facilities such as additional seating, comfortable chairs, or outdoor tables, and a microwave included. There is a need for faster service in order to make things better. This takes an endless amount of time. It could be helpful to have more staff during the peak hours. Moreover, it will be wonderful to include a suggestion box to write our suggestions.
Yes, well done. Okay.
Connectors.
Yeah. Can you find all the basic connectors here? All the cohesive devices, the connectors, maybe you've just covered even the simple one.
There's two. Wait, there's two, and then there are or, and
Okay.
there are cohesive devices. Moreover,
Yes, good.
wait, I cannot.
Take your
If,
time.
if,
Okay, good.
if,
Uh,
such as,
yes, good.
I can only find that. Oh no.
Well done. See, you are comfortable. Okay, good. Okay, yeah, let's see the answer. Okay, if, okay, such as, or, and, in order to, moreover. So these are all connectors that are being used effectively, which in this particular paragraph serve as effective cohesive devices. Okay. Actually ada N juga lah. This one N kan, but I only take only one if it's used multiple times. Okay. All right. So let's look at the organization mark for part 3. So in order to get well band 5, okay, your paragraph and also your essays must be well organized. Your article must be coherent, and then various cohesive devices are are used with good effect. So basically, you don't simply use cohesive devices just for the sake of using it, but there's a purpose of using it, okay, which is to enhance the impact of your writing. Okay, those are usually how students score band 5 in terms of organization in part 3. Okay, so if you see here for part 3, if you use simple connectors appropriately and you also use a limited number of cohesive devices appropriately, okay, the marks that you are likely to score for organization for your article will be only 1. Okay, right? Meaning that we don't we still award marks, but we follow the band as our guidance. Okay. All right. So that is the end of the article. So we quickly move on to story. Okay. Let me ask Christina and also Ain, what is your favorite question to answer? Is it a review? Is it article, story, or what's the other one? Reports.
I think it's easier to write a story.
Okay. Story as well. Okay, all right. Yeah, some of my students are into story, but let me tell you, story can be quite tricky, and that's why I purposely choose to cover story for today's webinar. Okay. So one thing that you have to keep in mind is that when you write a story in your examination, your story must be able to entertain the reader. That's it. Okay. If your story is not entertaining, okay, and then you have a lot of grammatical errors, and then your story is not cohesive and coherent, and then the ideas that you put is not, like it's difficult to follow, then you should improve your storytelling more. But the idea of when you decide to write a story, please bear this in mind. Your story must be able to entertain the reader. Okay. All right, this is a sample question. Your teacher has asked you to write a story for a school magazine. The story must have the title, A Dream Comes True. Your story should include a description of the dream and how the dream is achieved. Okay, so the word dream here is open to interpretation. It could mean that an inspiration or an ambition. Perhaps like growing up, you really wanted to become a doctor, and then finally you are able to become a doctor when you grow up. That is the first interpretation. And the second interpretation is that a dream where you a dream that you undergo when you are sleeping. Okay, perhaps like you were being chased by a ghost, and then how the dream is achieved. Perhaps it is like when you wake up, there's an actual ghost there. So sometimes you don't have to worry about all those open interpretation if that is the task of the examiners lah. Alright. Okay, I would like to introduce another mnemonic. Okay, if you want to write a story, please include. This is not compulsory. This is just a suggestion. Okay, while these are tips that I usually ask my students to include. You must have the PTSD. So what does the PTSD mean? Okay, the first P is past tense. Okay, Ain, are you able to identify any examples of past tense in this sample?
I think it's last night.
Last night is okay. That is it could be considered as a word indicating past tense, but we are looking for the verb, action verb.
Move.
Okay, move. Again.
explore,
2 more.
abandon,
Okay, good.
echo,
Abandon. Okay, echoed. Okay, good. So abandon is not past tense there because it's actually referring to the house. So that is an adjective there. Okay. So yes, busy mentioned here, explored, moved, and echoed. So my point is, okay, in order to make your story engaging, your use of past tense must be consistent. If you are not able to write a story using consistent past tense and then accurately, the problem is that teachers usually or the target readers will feel very frustrated because instead of appreciating or being entertained by your story, uh, they will be distracted by all the grammatical errors. So instead of enjoying your story, they will be looking for all the grammatical mistakes. So the first tips that you should practice in order to improve your story is that you should be able to use past tense accurately. Okay. All right. Okay, good. Explore, move, and echo. Okay. The second one is time phrase. Time phrase is basically referring to any word or phrases that indicates time. Okay. This basically time. Okay. How about Priscilla? Can you identify any examples of time phrases there? Any words or phrases that shows timing?
I think the first one is yesterday,
Okay,
and
well done.
then a long time ago,
Yes,
and
definitely.
lastly, midnight.
Yes, well done. Okay, you successfully identified all 3 time phrases. Okay, so when you're writing a story, make sure you include all these time phrases. Okay, because this is also a criteria of organization. We don't have any time phrases. Time phrases are actually a kind of cohesive devices. Okay, a kind of cohesive device. So use this. Okay, put this a lot in your story and make sure they are used actively. Okay, now suspense. S is for suspense. So yeah, usually when students write a story, okay, if your story has an element of suspense, it will grab the reader's interest because readers will definitely want to finish reading your essay because they are intrigued or they feel very curious. Oh my God, what is going to happen next? Okay, so it is advice, but looking at the topic as well. Huh? So if the title given in SPM is not suitable for suspense, so you don't have to apply this. Okay, so now Ayin, can you identify any words that when you read it, it brings an element of suspense?
I don't know. I
I'll
think
try
it's
again.
scary. I think it's
Come
scary
again.
laugh. I
Okay,
don't
good.
know.
Yes, that is correct. Yes, that is correct. Okay, because when we listen to scary laugh, it's quite, oh my God, that is very scary, right? Okay, what are other vocabularies that you read there that can make you panic
I
other than
don't know.
scary laugh? Okay. That's all? Okay, how about Priscilla?
Um, I think it's the last sentence or paragraph
Mhm.
that
Yeah,
it says it felt like the school had a mysterious story waiting to be uncovered. I think that
yes,
part.
well done. Okay, good. All right, there are quite a lot actually, a few. Okay, for instance, haunted. Okay, the word haunted school. So imagine like your school is haunted. So when we first read it, we will have this general idea that, oh my God, it can be quite unsafe there, right? And then we have the word shadows, and then it sets the tone that something that is going to happen in the story. And then, yeah, I forgot to put scary laugh there. Huh? Scary laughs and also creepy feeling. mysterious, waiting to be uncovered. Okay, those are the vocabularies that I use in order to evoke the feeling of suspense in your story. Okay, and then last but not least, D is dialogue. Actually, it's direct speech, but it's also appropriate to use dialogue. Okay, so the only do include simple dialogue in your story, because the purpose is just to make the characters alive. Because if you don't put any dialogues, the story can be quite, like it can be quite very monotonous, because you are just telling what the characters do. But when you suddenly put a voice, a dialogue there, you give a voice to your character. It doesn't have to be very detailed. And then, like sometimes students, they said, the topic said we have to put dialogue. And then suddenly the story becomes full of dialogue. It's almost a conversation. So don't misinterpret what I'm saying here. Just use a dialogue here and there, not a lot, just to make, just to give voice to the character. Okay, so in this one, out of the blue, I heard a loud sound behind us. Did you hear that? My friend laughed at my question as she thought it was just the wind. So the dialogue here is, did you hear that? Okay, maybe Ain can read this one. This is just a very short story, okay, without any paragraphing, only one paragraph that I typed in order to teach you the PTSD for today's session. Okay, Ain, can you read this story?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
In a quiet town named Kimanis, there was a poor girl named Lucy. She always wanted to become rich. One day, she dreamed of a treasure hidden in a mysterious forest. In her dream, she found an old map in her attic. She followed the map and went into the forest. She found many golds and became rich girl. Suddenly, she woke up. She quickly remembered her dream and went to her attic. Surprisingly, the old map was there. Just like her dream, she followed the map to the jungle. There she discovered a lot of gold and screamed, "I'm a rich girl!" Lucy's dream finally came true to become a rich girl.
Yay, well done. Okay, good enunciation. All right, so using this one particular paragraph, okay, I've already compressed all the PTSD inside. So our next activity is to identify the use of past tense. Okay, if you are able to identify the time phrases, if you are able to identify any particular words that bring up the emotion of suspense, and also if you are able to identify the dialogue being used here. Okay, all right, let's quickly move to past tense. Okay, so this is open to anyone who would like to answer. Okay, perhaps Priscilla. So, Priscilla, can you find any past tense being used here? Any examples of past tense?
Past tense
Mhm.
was,
Okay,
and
good.
then
Right.
dream with the T, and
Okay,
then
good.
hidden. Follow,
Okay, nice.
woke up, remembered, when,
Okay, nice. Okay,
and
good.
lastly, oh no, discovered and scream.
Okay, good. Okay, good. All right. So
Yeah.
basically, you managed to get almost all. Okay, and then very accurate. But my point here is that this is a very this is a good story because we understood the story well due to the effective use of past tense. So just imagine if the story has a lot of grammatical errors. So like the story can be readers can be very distracted, right? Okay, so these are all the past tenses used in this particular story. Named, it is repeated twice, wanted, dreamt, found, followed, went, okay, another found, became. Okay, so that's why I said if you want to answer story in your essay, especially in SPM, always polish your past tense. Okay, use past tense consistently. Okay, all right. Okay, how about okay, Ain? Ain, now your turn is try to find all the time phrases in this sample.
Um, One day,
Mm-hmm. Good.
I only found one. I don't know if there's
Only
any
one.
other.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So after this, maybe Ain, you can Google as well. What are some of the time phrases that can be used in? But you will learn this in when you go in Form 5, Chapter 2. Okay. There are a list of time phrases that you can use. Okay. All right. These are some of the time phrases that shows the time. Okay, one day, in her dream, okay, the word suddenly, okay, the word surprisingly, finally. Okay, though these are all the time phrases used to indicate something happened in a period of time. Okay, all right. Okay, next, okay. Particular, it's your turn. Now find any words that you can that you when you read it, it makes you feel suspenseful. Okay, it makes you feel suspense.
Suspend.
Mm-hmm.
Wait,
Okay.
I think it's the surprisingly the old map was there.
Okay, good. Yeah. The word
Uh,
surprisingly, right?
uh-huh. And then the what is it? I think that's it. I
Okay.
can only find that.
Okay, let's look. You know that. Okay, let's look at some of the sample. Okay, the suspense. Okay, the word hidden. And then we have the word mysterious. And then in her dream, she found an old map. Okay, so imagine like when you are having a dream, okay, you found an old map. And then when you read it, it creates an image in our mind that's, oh my God, what is she going to do with the old map, right? And then bam, she followed the map, okay? And then, okay, our expectation is that, oh, okay, Lucy followed the map, and then she woke up. And the word quickly remembered, it creates anticipation. You know, like we want to know that, oh my God, what's going to happen? Is she going to follow whatever she dreamt in her dream? And then the word surprisingly that we mentioned just now, and then the word just like her dream, which the function is to confirm our expectation in the sense that she followed the map to the jungle, and then the word discovered. And when we see the word discovered, we will say, oh my God, what is she going to discover? Right? It turns out to be a lot of gold. Okay, these are some of the elements of the tiny details of vocabularies that you can use to create suspense, elements of suspense in your story. And then lastly, Ain, can you find the dialogue here? There's only one, kan?
I'm a rich girl.
Yeah. Can you scream louder?
I'm a rich girl.
Okay, good. Just like what we listened the Captain Nobody yesterday, kan? Okay. All right. So yeah, some of the our audience in the chat box, they did give some correct answers. For instance, Kairatun, they found, followed, dreamt, and then Daniel also mentioned the word mysterious. Okay. VZ, explored, moved, echoed, creepy. Okay. Thank you for sharing your answer in the chat box. Okay, yes, definitely. This is the evidence of dialogue. So you see, but if you use the dialogue, you don't have to overuse it. Perhaps just once in a while you put a dialogue day with a good effect, that would be sufficient. Okay, so it doesn't have to be a lot of dialogues all the time. Okay, so we are almost at the end of our session. So I would like to recap. Okay, remember for language, okay, this is the final assessment scale for part 3. Okay, language, in order to score band 5, you must use a range of less common lexemes. Okay, and then also examiners will also look at whether you are able to use a range of simple and complex grammatical forms, in the sense that you have mastered the use of using the art of using simple and complex grammatical forms accurately. And then even if there are errors, okay, but the errors do not impede the meaning. Basically means that it could be just a slip, meaning that you know that is an error, but you know, like in a period of 1 hour 30 minutes, sometimes you have to rush, right? And then you do not have time to check your grammatical errors. So if your essay fulfills these three criteria, you will be able to score at least band 5 for language. So from now on, your tips for language is try to use less common lexemes that are relevant to the topic. Okay. So for instance, if the topic is about spending money just now, okay, maybe you can brainstorm a list of vocabulary that you can use that are related to the topic of spending money. And then we have article about school canteen just now, right? Facilities, how to improve our school canteen. You can also do brainstorming, improve your vocabulary. What are some of the less common lexemes or vocabularies related to the word canteen or food or facilities, and you can insert them in your essays, especially in for language part 3. Because if you use all that, provided that your grammatical errors are all on point, you will easily score band 5. Okay, but you will also, don't worry if you have no time to do your revision to improve your synonyms. Even if you use basic vocabulary and then you show evidence of using simple grammatical form in a good control, you will also get 1 mark. Okay, but that is the lowest part for band 3. Okay, and then you notice the word there, errors are noticeable. So let's say every line of your essay has story. Every line of your story has grammatical errors. That is basically what is meant by errors are noticeable. So the more mistake you make, the more lines will be added in your script. And then when we finally finish marking, so if there are errors are noticeable, we will only award you 1 mark. Okay. Okay. So last but not least, this is the overall tips for language for part 1, part 2, and part 3. Okay. So what are things that you have to consider when using language? Have you used a range of simple and more complex sentences? Okay, so maybe for now, after this session, you should brush up your use of 4 types of sentences. Okay, the first sentence is simple sentence, and then we have compound sentence, and we have complex sentence, and then the fourth one is compound complex. Okay, don't forget to revise this, and then try when you write your essay, try to incorporate a range of all these 4 types of sentences. So basically, it's like don't simply use simple sentence, mix and match. Sometimes you use simple, sometimes you use complex. Okay, and then have you avoided repeating the same words and phrases? Yes, definitely. Okay, so if you have the tendency to use the same vocabulary over and over again, for instance, in the story, you have the tendency to use the word scary. Okay, in the first paragraph, you use scary. Second paragraph, scary. Third paragraph, scary. So this is an indication that perhaps you lack vocabulary. Okay, so you have to brushing up your synonyms. There are many less common lexemes that are related to scary. Okay, and then when you use those less common lexemes, are they appropriate to the context? Okay, and then is your use of grammar accurate, and then is your spelling accurate? So these are some of the minor details that we will look for especially if you want to, like if you share the criteria of 5 and 3, whether we want to put it in the middle. So we will definitely look at all the small details before examiners put the final marks. Okay. All right. So I think we have come to the end of my session. But before I stop, okay, this is a summary of what I have just shared with you in this 2-hour webinar. Okay. So we successfully recapped the assessment scale of writing, but it was just briefly done because due to time constraint. Okay, second, we also have reviewed sample answers for each part where we analyze the emails just now, or also we developed an essay together in part 2, and we also saw 2 examples in part 3, which were article and also sorry. And then we also revisited the basic steps of writing an introduction as well as the paragraph using the please technique. And also lastly, we revised elements of 2 genres just now, article and story in part 3. So I was not able to cover the other 2 genres, which are review and also report due to time constraint. But I am sure with the remaining time before the actual examination, you still have plenty of time to do on your own revision. Okay, so with that, that's all from me. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, you can ask right away in the chat box.
Okay, thank you, Cikgu Taufik, and also Ain, and also Priscilla. Okay, let's take a very short break, then we'll come back with the Q&A session. Okay, everyone, thank you for your attention thus far. We have now reached an exciting part of our webinar where we invite you to actively participate and engage in a Q&A session. Okay, you feel free to pose your questions for Cikgu Taufik to answer. When asking your question, we would hopefully you use a proper profile. But I think, Taufik, along the way just now, you have answered quite a lot of questions, right?
Yeah, I also took a pic of the chat box just now.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone has any question? Okay. Never mind. We will wait for them we'll wait around like 30 seconds for them to post their question. Meanwhile, I would like to inform about the attendance link. Attendance link has been shared in the chat box. The link is only valid until 12 midnight today. So kindly fill in why it is valid. The committee holds no responsibility for your led action. Okay, yeah, the link has been shared. Let's see. I think there seem to be no question. Okay, that's good.
Hopefully
When there's,
that's an indication.
I think okay, there's one.
Okay.
Revolano. I think we met him yesterday as well, right? Okay,
Yeah,
teacher.
Rivalano. Yeah.
Yeah, teacher. If we got the wrong words on writing, will the marks get cut off? I think he means that if he used the wrong words, will his mark be deducted?
Okay, it depends on which part of the section. Okay, because we have different, like I mentioned, for language, we have different bands for part 1, different bands for part 2 and part 3, right? But basically, if you use the wrong words for in email, for example, if it's not repeated only like once, and then it doesn't really affect the overall email, you wouldn't be penalized. But the keyword is
What
that.
about, what about in the
The
other section?
Yes, definitely. So in the other section, if let's just put it this way: if your choice of words is deemed they are deemed inappropriate, and then examiners begin to put a line. Okay, for instance, like the more lines being put, okay, so that will definitely impact your essay, the marks for your essay. But usually is examiners will use accuracy in order to break the band. For instance, like if, for instance, like I write Rivellano, maybe he has the characteristic of band 5, and as he also has the characteristic of band 3. And then we will
Okay.
use the accuracy to break the time.
Okay. So it's
Okay.
okay. Understand that. I guess we
Yes,
have answered.
definitely.
Okay. There's another question from I think Fathu. Teacher, can we also using ECT? I think it's been etc.
Etc. I think, yeah, etc. If possible, don't use contraction. Okay, this is a form of contraction. Don't use this in part 2 and also article, review, and also report. Don't use it. You are
Okay.
allowed to use that in the email as well as in narrative. But if you ask me honestly, I wouldn't recommend you to use it. Use the full form, etc.
Okay. Now,
Okay.
then the question from Daniel. I'm not sure. Is he the Daniel that we had yesterday? Okay. Daniel asked, do the words need to reach the designated number? Can we still score if we didn't reach, if we don't reach it?
Yes, this is a very good question. Thank you, Daniel. Okay, the length of an essay does not determine the marks. Okay, so because this is a holistic kind of assessment, because we have bands, right, to fulfill. So sometimes, yes, longer essays, even though it reached way beyond the designated number of words, but like we have the tendency, like the more you write, the more mistakes or errors you are going to do. So that's why I think why the 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 specified number of words being mentioned there is just to serve as a guidance. If you write less, but you fulfill all the criteria, it's okay. We will not
Okay.
penalize you based on that. Okay.
So it is based on the criteria, but not based on the number of words.
Yeah. So basically, the length of an essay should not be considered for, like short essay will be given lower mark, and like a longer essays will be given higher mark. There's no such thing. We look at the quality overall.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, hi Daniel.
Oh,
Hopefully
Daniel,
we'll meet
yesterday.
you this
Hi, Daniel.
afternoon. Okay. Any other question? Okay, there's another one. Can we use the peribahasa in English on the introduction, the idioms? I think the students mean
uh,
idioms.
yes, definitely. But provided that the danger of using idiom is that when you misinterpret the actual meaning. So if you want to use specific idioms, I would suggest you to understand the context and make sure it is consistent with the topic being asked. Because like by randomly putting an idiom, and then it does not go accordingly with the topic that you are trying to elaborate, it will like impact the coherence and then the cohesion of your overall essay. Okay, it will be like it will be glaring, Mr. Glaring. But to be used as an introduction, yes, you can use like I mentioned, there are 7 techniques how to start the essay, right? Perhaps if you can use the idioms correctly to introduce the sentences and then your idea, why not? Give it a try. It's better to try now during like before the actual examination and ask for your teacher's opinion. Don't suddenly you use all these techniques that I taught you on the actual day of the SPM examination. That is not a good tactic. Okay.
Okay, so that means that the idioms is used when necessary, not
Mhm.
because you use it just because you have to use it. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
So another question from Nice. Sir, macam mana nak kurangkan commission dalam essay? And do you have any study tip for English?
One commission. Kurangkan
That's why
commission, I don't understand. I don't get it.
yeah.
Can you
Maybe
rephrase that,
nice.
nice? What do you mean?
Yeah.
Kurangkan commission?
Okay, why Nice is trying to explain to us what does it mean by commission. Omission I know, but it doesn't sound correct as well, like kurangkan omission.
Yeah.
Never mind. Nice, you cuba kasih tahu. And then while waiting for that, maybe you could answer any study tips for English.
Yes, for now, okay, it's differing for I'm talking about writing, huh? Okay, so basically for email, just be straightforward. Okay, you don't have to use all the bombastic words, especially in terms of language, because if you look at the benchmarks, there are no merit for bombastic language, because remember, the CFR level being tested is only A2. But if you use bombastic language, it is also okay. But remember, examiners will expect to see an increment of language proficiency as we move from your email to part 2 and part 3. Because if you look at the CFR level just now, right? So A2 level is the one of the lowest, and then we move to the middle, and then we move to the B2. So if you already utilize all your good vocabularies in email, so you should be able to triumph all those good vocabularies in part 2 and part 3. So the strategy is just follow the level. So in email, don't use all the bombastic language. Okay, for part 2, you can start giving, tidbits, okay, of your good vocabularies here and there, and then you go all out for part 3 and show your ability to write better. And another tip is that, okay, I know some of you have this tendency, once you get the paper, you really want to complete part 3 first. I think that is not a good technique, because if you do part 3 first, you are expected to display the highest level of your language proficiency, because once we see that your English level is static from email to part 3, so meaning that there is no trajectory, right? So that's why it's better to lower your level first, go to A2 level by doing the email, and then go to part 2 and then part 3. Because I'm afraid if you start doing part 3 first, you will take a lot of time because you're so amped up, and suddenly the topic that you really want came out, and then you're like, oh my God, okay. And then you lose a lot of time for email. In fact, email is the easiest to score, right? So it's a loss for you lah. That is my opinion.
Okay. So Taufik, could I understand it as jangan fikir banyak-banyak, kita start dengan yang sedang dulu, which is email, just straightforward, and then nanti go to yang part 2, part 3, only then we try to think, only then we try to show off whatever English that we have.
Yes, definitely, because the questions have been designed to follow the level. So we start with the basic one, and then we follow the medium one, and then the most difficult one.
Okay. I think Nice has rephrased his word. Okay, I guess we understand the words is omission. So bagaimana nak kurangkan tertinggal perkataan? How to lessen the omission of word?
I interpret it the way is that perhaps Nice has a problem to reach the specified number of words. This is correct of my interpretation. Basically, you just have to follow, create your paragraphing. Because when you plan your paragraphing, okay, you will not have problem with the number of words. But don't worry too much about the number of words, because like I mentioned, lengthy essay does not really warrant your higher marks. Okay, as long as you are able to cover all the content points, and then you have at least 4 to 5 paragraphs, and then you use all the appropriate vocabularies, and then you take care of your intonation, you will be on the right hand. Okay.
Okay, I think we have addressed all the questions. Thank you, Taufik. So, as an appreciation to our speaker, we'd like to present him an e-cert for his dedication in sharing his knowledge. Thank you a lot, Taufik.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we're reaching the end. So please don't forget to fill in your attendance. And we have shared the link in the chat box. To our participants, your active engagement and enthusiasm have made this event vibrant and memorable. Your presence here has signified a commitment to excel in your SPM English. For that, we are deeply grateful. We will pray the best for you. So don't get panic. Just try to apply whatever you have learned from Cikgu Taufik, and ask the opinion of your teacher. Don't try it only during the exam, but start doing it now. Okay. A special note of appreciation goes to the dedicated committee member who have worked tirelessly behind the scene to ensure the smooth flow of today's event. Before ending the webinar, I would like to invite all committee members to join us in the live.
And thank you to our students as well, Ayin and Priscilla.
And I saw like, like Cikgu Ahmad, I saw him yesterday. Today also I saw him. Nice having him. Thank you, Cikgu Ahmad.
Okay. Thank you, Cikgu Ahmad.
Okay, are all the teams here? Oh, Cikgu Irene lagi. Oh no, she's not here. Okay, thank you and bye-bye everybody. Oh, by the way, before that, don't forget we have another last session with another speaker on reading paper this afternoon at 2 o'clock. See you at 2 and bye-bye. Thank you everybody.
Bye. Thank you everybody.